enough to knock me out, but I'm still holding the throne. You'll never know till it's over. So pretty it hurts, just beware of the thorns.
Hello everybody, Harvey Talks Prison here. Today, I've told you guys I was going to interview Adam Thompson, Aussie Prison Stories, and that didn't work out. I mean, for some reason, we couldn't get it to work on Zoom. So what I did is I asked him a bunch of questions, sent them to him, and he recorded the video. Now he's a new YouTuber, just getting started. He sounds like I did when I first got started, a little bit nervous. This is going to be a video about him. I ain't going to react to it or nothing. I'm just going to let the video play. You guys can watch it and see what he says a little bit about the Australian prison system and about himself. Alright, thank you for watching. Bye.
Hi everyone, welcome to Aussie Prison Stories. Today I'm going to be talking about my life, my upbringing, and talk about my prison life. Okay, so I got 3 brothers and 3 sisters, and we grew up in a suburb of Sydney called Liverpool. It wasn't a good upbringing at all. My mother and my father were both, hooked on drugs and drinking heavily. My mother's been to prison, my father's been to prison, and I remember clear as day, like it was yesterday, that every single time that we used to go and visit my mother, and I was roughly about 5 years old, and my father used to stuff some drugs in my nappy to take it in, and that happened like every second weekend. And also done the same thing for my father when he went to prison. And I was about 7 years old then, and obviously I wasn't wearing nappies at 7 years old. But what they used to do was, my mother used to put it down my pants, in my undies, and they take the drugs in to the prison to my father, because my father, he got charged with armed robbery and assault. I think he was like in prison for something like 5-6 years or something. My mother, she ended up going to prison, and she did 2.5 years for shoplifting. So yeah, it wasn't a good upbringing, and my father was, like not only a heroin addict, but he was an alcoholic and very abusive. Used to beat us kids all the time. It was so rough, and I just got fed up in the end. And when I was 12 years old, I ended up running away, because what happened was, me and, not all of us, but only me, my sister, and one of my other brothers, we got taken off them by DOCS, which is community service here, and they put us in foster homes. And I didn't like that at all. And so I ran away. I ran away and ended up on the streets. And, and was like, 12 years old. I was 12 years old then. And I ran away, ended up on the streets of King's Cross. And back in those days, in the early 90s, especially the early 90s, it was very, very rough back there in King's Cross. And the main road that goes through it is Darlinghurst Road. And, that's called the Golden Mile. It used to be called the Golden Mile. And you used to have, like, along the main street, on one side, you'll have, like, a whole heap of Tongans on one side and a whole heap of Tongans on the other side. Selling coke and whatever, but yeah, I don't want to say too much about that because I don't want to put their business out there, too much of it. And I don't want to be dry snitching on him. But yeah, I ended up in the streets of King's Cross at 12 years old. I ended up meeting a couple other street guys, and they were addicted to heroin. They were addicted to heroin themselves at the time. And they said, you want to try something? I'm 12 years old, I'm a kid, I know what heroin was and what it can do to you, obviously because of my father. And obviously I didn't know how to do myself, so, they shot me up with some heroin, and that was it. It was over. It was over for me from that point on. Just that one shot at 12 years old, and I got hooked on heroin. And things went downhill from there. And I had to start doing crime to support my habit. Like I was first doing burglaries. That's what it's called in America, burglaries. Over here we call it B&E. Which is break and enter. And what I used to do was I used to go to the apartment blocks, right? And I used to climb up. Like to the probably third or fourth floor, climb up on the balcony and over the balcony because back then they never ever locked their balcony door. So I used to do that, climb up. Used to climb up over the balcony and get into the apartment that way. I think about it now, it's pretty messed up because I wouldn't like someone coming into my house when I'm asleep. You know what I mean? But yeah, I used to go into, I used to burglarise people's places at night. All the way up in the morning, probably 2, 3, 4 in the morning, and I get in there and I find the valuables and steal whatever is of value and take us, all the cash that I could find and get out of there. And that eventually led to stealing cars. Went from burglaries to stealing cars. And I first got arrested. My first ever charge as a juvenile was stealing a car. That was my first charge. And I ended up going to a juvenile detention centre here called Minda. I went to Minda and I got 18 months. I was 14 years old. And yeah, that was my first charge. Stealing a car, went to Minda, done 18 months, got out, straight back to the cross, straight back to the streets, start using heroin again, and things, progressed from there. And I started doing street robberies, robbing people on the street at knife point, you know, and trust me, I'm not proud of it. I'm not proud of it. But I did what I had to do to survive at the time, you know, and started robbing people on the streets at knife point. And then I ended up getting into armed robberies. I committed my first armed robbery when I was 16. Thankfully, I didn't get caught for that one, you know, so I was pretty lucky there. I've got away with a lot of stuff, you know, touch wood. And but my first serious charge as an adult was armed robbery when I was 18 years old, and I ended up getting 4.5 years for that. And I went to prison. My first prison that I went to was Long Bay Correctional Centre here in Sydney in the eastern suburbs. And like I said before in my last video, I didn't last 24 hours there. And ended up getting in a fight, and then I ended up stabbing a guy, stabbed him 2 times in the stomach. And then I got shipped off to Goulburn, and back in those days, Goulburn was known as the killing fields. You know, it was terrible. You know, it was so violent, it was so rough. You know, and here I am, you know, 18 years old in a maximum security prison. In Goulburn, which is the killing fields, and I ended up serving the remainder of my time, you know, and the 4.5 years I ended up serving that out in Goulburn, you know, and what I used to do, you know, to pass the time, and you know, just try and get myself busy, and you know, just try not to think about being in prison, you know. And I used to wake up in the morning, work out a bit with my cellmate, you know, and go out in the oval, jog around, you know, go to the weight pile, and you know, like pump some weights out, and have a bit of drink, come back to the cell, have a bit of breakfast, you know, then jump in the shower, and have a shower, you know, and then, you know, like we used to play cards, you know, we used to play a card game here called 48, you know, it's probably, how can I explain? 48 is probably a bit similar to poker, you know what I mean? And but I used to play cards. I used to draw. You know, I you know, like started doing a bit of tattoo work. You know what I mean? Because yeah, I wasn't too good at that, but yeah, I ended up getting rid of that, and got a little side hustle, you know, selling weed. I was selling weed in there, and I was making a bit of money with that, you know, and on top of my sweeper's job, because I was a sweeper of the wing, which is, you know, a guy that cleans the wing, serves at the meals, you know, and just, you know, allocates, you know, like sheets and all that sort of stuff, the bedding to the new inmates, you know, and because my first job that I had was in the laundry, and that was a terrible job, hot as hell in the laundry, you know, but yeah, that's how I used to pass my time there in Goulburn. And I got out after doing my 4.5 years on parole. I got out on parole, and I don't know how it is like in America or any other country, but here, you know, when you get out on parole, you get released from prison on parole, you're supposed to report to them within 24 hours of being released, but I never did that. I never reported to them once because there was no point, because I knew that, you know, it wouldn't be too much longer before I was back in there, you know, and because I used to get out, you know, I mean, I've done 17 years all up, you know, and in and out, and I used to get out, and I was out for maybe 2 months, you know, I'll reoffend, and then, like, I'll go back to prison, you know, and I got out, yeah, sure enough, 2 months later, I was back in there. In prison, you know, this time for drug dealing, because I ended up starting to sell drugs. You know, I was selling heroin, you know, and selling heroin to support my habit, you know, and yeah, it wasn't the smartest move, you know, selling heroin on the streets, because, you know, I was pretty young. I was only pretty young then, you know, because I was 22 years old. Here I am on the streets of Sydney, 22 years old, selling heroin, and I had to carry a knife on me back in those days because, you know, it was just the way it was, you know, and so yeah, I was out for 2 months, and I was selling heroin to support my habit, and I got busted. For selling heroin, and because I refused to talk to the cops, you know, I told them to go and fuck himself, you know, because they said to me, oh, you can make this easy on yourself, tell us who you're working for, blah, 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 you know, and all I said to them, go and fuck yourself, I'm not saying fucking shit, take me to me fucking cell, get out of me face, you know, and because I believe, I mean, I've always had the mentality that, you know, if you do the crime, you do the fucking time, you know. There's none of this fucking getting into the cop shop and, you know, bloody doing this, fucking lip smacking, you know, I mean, damn. You know, so, ended up going to court. And, you know, and I got, I think it was like 19 to 20 months, and it wasn't much heroin. Like, I got caught with 6 caps of heroin, you know, and they were like, you know, $100 caps, probably say a gram each, you know, probably like a gram each they were, and I got 19 to 20 months for that, and you know, and I ended up getting sent. I got sent to Bathurst. That's not a bad jail. That's probably like maybe 2 hours from Sydney, and I ended up getting classoed, and after a while I got a B classification, maximum security classification, B1, and after about 6-7 months, because I was doing programs, you know, doing education programs to try and help myself, better myself, and, you know, it lowered my level. My bad about the plane, y'all. It lowered my level, and I ended up getting reclassoed, and I got a C1 classification. and they sent me to X-Wing in Bathurst, and that was pretty cool. I met a lot of cool guys in there, and a couple of guys I still talk to this day. Pretty staunch stand-up dudes. I've done my time there. Done the rest of my time there, and then just spend, I'll get out a couple of months back in, so first sentence was 4.5 years, second sentence 20 months, then here and there, bits and pieces here and there, like 6 months, 2 months, 3 months, a year, 2 years, and 17 years all up I spent in prison. I'm 44 now. I'm 44 now, but I eventually, woke up to myself and changed my life, because the last time I got out of prison was about 7.5 years ago now. I've been out for 7.5 years, and my last offence that I got charged with was assault, occasional actual bodily harm, and the reason why I got charged with, assault, occasional actual bodily harm is because, I know it had nothing to do with me, but I wasn't going to, just walk past and let this woman get beaten, by this guy, and it was her boyfriend, on and off again boyfriend, that I ended up finding out, and he was beaten because I heard her screaming, and I'm like, what the hell's that? And I turned around, and here's this poor woman getting beaten by this guy. No one's doing nothing. Nobody's doing nothing, just walking past doing nothing. So I just couldn't take it, so I ran up and grabbed him and I beat his ass, and I said to him, oh, you like beating women, do you? I got something for you, and I fucking beat his ass, and because I broke his jaw and broke his nose, I got charged with assault, occasional actual bodily harm, and I done 2 years for that. And that was my last charge, and the last bit of time that I served, and I got out, and I sat down and I had to reassess, my life, because I was still using drugs in prison. I was still using heroin in prison, and I was still, doing all the stupid shit that in prison that I was doing on the streets, and so I got out, and I just had to, sit down and just think about things, and I thought to myself, damn, I'm sick of this fucking life, of using heroin, because I used heroin for fucking 12 years, 12 years I used fucking heroin, and that took a big toll on me, and I should have been dead, 4 or 5 times. Damn, I've nearly lost my life 4 or 5 times, because I got fucking stabbed in the head, and busted eye and shit, just why my eyes all fucked up now. But I just got tired of the life. Using heroin, having to always find a way to get my hit for that day, and in and out of prison. I got sick of it, so what I ended up doing was I rented this house. It was only a little 2-bedroom house, and it was in a suburb, a town called Nowra. It's probably about 5 hours from Sydney, and I went down there and I locked myself into the house to get clean and get myself off the fucking drugs, and I locked myself in there for about 6 weeks, and in that 6 weeks I went through hell, absolute fucking hell. I was sick as a dog, you know, and fucking, I was laying in my own spew and, you know, fucking pissing myself and shit myself and shit like that, and that was bad. I nearly fucking died, you know, but I was determined to get through it, you know, because I always had the mentality that, you know, because I got myself into that fucking mess, I was determined to get myself out of it and not let it beat me, you know. And what I mean by I wouldn't let it beat me is, you know, fucking ended up in the cemetery or in prison for the rest of my life, because one of those things could have happened quite easily. You know, so I ended up getting clean. You know, the 6 weeks passed and I got clean, I got myself better, you know, and yes, it was hard. It wasn't easy, you know, but I did it, you know, because I've always had a strong mindset, you know. If I put my mind to something and I really focus on it, you know, and I'm determined, I'll do it, you know. So I got myself clean, and I had to change, you know, places, people and things, you know, and ended up meeting a nice girl, got a good girlfriend, you know, settled down with her, ended up getting a good job, you know, and I've had a lot of jobs over the years, you know, and yeah, I've been clean now for like 7.5 years, haven't been to prison in 7 years, you know, I changed my life, I'm doing really well now, you know, I'm healthy, I'm happy, I'm in a good place, you know, and one thing I'm determined never ever to do is go back to prison, and no matter how bad things get, it's never ever worth going back, you know, to your old ways, because it's just not worth it, you know. And going to prison or, you know, using drugs doesn't make you cool. It doesn't make you cool, it doesn't make you tough, you know. And being out here and being free, I love being free because I can come and go as I please and do what I want, you know. And, you know, so yeah, I changed my life up. Changed my life completely, you know, and so, you know, I just wanted to get my story out, you know, and to, you know, give you guys a bit of an idea about me, who I am, where I've been, how I got to, you know, how my life led up to me going to prison. And this video will be uploaded onto Harvey Talks Prison. It'll be uploaded on his channel. So look out for that. You know, he's a real stand-up dude. And, you know, yes, I wanted to, you know, tell you guys a bit more about me. Get the word out about my channel, Aussie Prison Stories. You know, because I've got 17 years of prison stories to tell, you know, and my next video that I'm going to upload later on today will be hooking up with a female CO. So look out for that one. I hope you guys enjoyed the story, you know, telling you guys a bit about my life. I would really appreciate if you would give this video a like, subscribe, comment and share this video, and please look out for this video on Harvey Talks Prison. And if you haven't subscribed to his channel, please do so, because he has great content, always uploads dope fire content. He's a stand-up guy. He done 29 years in prison. It's one of the toughest prisons in America. So, you know, I rock with him. I support him in what he's doing, and he supports me in what I'm doing. So, yeah. that's it for today. That's it for right now, guys, and I'll catch you all again real soon. Please stay safe. Don't forget to tell your family that you love them. Don't forget to tell your partner, your girlfriend, your wife, your significant other. Don't forget to tell them that you love them. Because tomorrow's not promised, nor is it guaranteed. Stay safe. I'll talk to you all again real soon. Aussie Prison Stories out. Peace.